Warning. The next part of this chapter is going to more than make up for how Shining Armor was treated in that Sonic fanfic. If you do not want to see Shining Armor be a badass and be a cool policeman doing badass things, then I suggest you wait till tomorrow for the next chapter. The rest of you, enjoy! The glare of red and blue LED beacons burned through the dismal gray of the unyielding rainstorm as one law enforcement vehicle approached another. As Shining's vehicle approached Melatelli's police cruiser, the fact that the door was open and everything was completely untouched worried him. Then a jag of lightning lit up the area, revealing the body on the ground. Shining wasted no time. Grabbing his radio, he shouted into it, "This is Fort Golf 5! Man down! We have a man down on location!" He then withdrew his pistol and opened the door to his car slowly, getting ready to move towards his friend's corpse. Of that he had no doubt. Most as well to him, but he fought to keep them down for the moment. He needed to get whoever got Melatelli and put that bastard behind bars. He didn't have to wait long as he heard the shattering of the windshield, followed by the report of a rifle. Instinct taking over, he bolted behind his vehicle, just as rounds tore through the door in the space that he had been a second ago. He didn't bother to return fire. Without knowing where his assailant was, all it would do was waste ammunition. A few more rounds blasted through the SUV, and from what he could tell, they were tearing through it easily. It was meant someone was firing a high-powered sniper rifle, though he wasn't that up on the kind of hardware. Maybe I should have done time in the military. Maybe I'd be able to tell the difference between a really good sniper rifle and an anti-material one. A bullet that ripped through the back gate of the SUV, coming uncomfortably close to his head. Yeah! I really need to figure out where the gunfire's coming from. In the distance, the sirens grew louder, and he smiled to himself. Or maybe I just need to wait this out. He thought to himself. You know! He shouted in the direction of gunfire. If you just surrender, you'll make it easier on yourself! The response to that was another round of gunfire, and he felt the vehicle shift as one of the tires was blown out. Guy's good, Shiny thought to himself, a cool calm washing over him. He was going to beat this bastard, if it was the last thing he did. As the sirens grew closer, he made his move, rushing away from the car and towards the relatively better armored cover of the Melatelli's cruiser. As he tore through, he felt something burn through the air just past his ear. A split second later, he heard the muzzle report. Instinct forced him to dive and roll, coming to a stop just before a trunk. This time, however, he returned fire, pulling the trigger and letting his pistol bark as he sent rounds into the darkness of nearby trees, hoping he hit his target. He didn't have much to lose by that. His attacker already knew where he was. Finally, he could hear the roar of several engines as his backup arrived. Now or never, he said to himself, hoping that the body armor he wore would be able to stop whatever rounds were going to probably impact against his chest. Once they were ready, he would sweep whoever it was and put him down. He felt like he was repeating himself, but at that moment, time flowed slow when you're being shot at by many a senior officer had told him. You tended to think cynically if it didn't immediately pertain to the situation. A few seconds later, another SUV soared towards them, the engine gunning and the cherry light on top radiating red and blue as the blaring drone of siren ripped through the air. The brakes of the huge steel wagon squealed against the rain-slicked road, sending forward blasts as the car spun to a stop, while a final streak of metal against sun-soaked asphalt creating a fade of sound against the onslaught of patters against the storm. The car came to a stop. The driver's door slammed open, and with the practiced move of someone used to combat, Hardlight rushed out, heading towards Shining side of a motion that left him in surprise. He'd been at the top of his class at the academy, and was probably the fittest person in the precinct. But the way the FBI agent moved, it was clear her years of Marine training had turned her to something far beyond him. So his reality moved in horrifying slow motion as he heard the zip of a round tear through the air and rock her head back in a terrible blossom of dark red, illuminated by the headlights of her vehicle. Surprised he hadn't even had a chance to register on Harlight's face as he let go of her FBI issue MP5, the carbine, skittering to the ground just ahead of her as she crumpled to the ground. There was no chance to see if she had been grazed, not with the unnatural angle her head was bent at. Hardline! Oh, I liked her. I liked her, you son of a bitch! Shiny screamed and was rewarded by 2 more rounds coming his direction, one of them shattering the windshield of Hardline's vehicle. However, in success, this time the shooter had given away a vital clue, as the light from one of the headlights briefly glinted off the sniper rifle. just enough for Shiny to see. It was coming from the damaged-looking police vehicle on the other end of the barricade. It had been damaged, and it appeared as if it had already been attacked. And that was probably what had done Matali in, he realized. He couldn't afford to allow her death to be in vain. More so, he had a fiancée to get back in one piece. Got you now, you son of a bitch! He snarled silently as he dropped to the floor. If he moved fast enough and luck was on his side, he could reach Hardline's rifle, and that would give him an advantage. That advantage ended a second later as the rifle barked once more, and the MP5 in front of him cracked in two from the shot. Whoever's assailant was, it wasn't going to give Shiny the luxury of even a small advantage.
Shannon, you there?
The sound of his radio went off, and in his shock, he realized he forgot about it. Revolver waltzed through him as he realized he could have warned Hardline about what was out there, but he put that aside. There was nothing he could have done in any case. There were other things to consider at the moment. 4-5 here! He spoke into the radio. Sandy, we got a sniper rifle here, sitting in that fake police van. He's got me pinned down, and he's already taken out Hardy and Mel. The fuck? As he sounded over the line.
Oh, hell no. You see, Tat, I'm gonna be outside of 2 minutes tops. I got orders behind me, so cavalry's coming.
As he groaned.
Cavalry. Fucking hard term. Never gonna let that down.
Sandy, what are you going to do? He asked. The answer sounded a second later as the roar of an engine bellowed, and an unmarked black Ford Taurus rocketed past him, lights its siren booming. Without even considering to stop, Sandalwood pushed forward and ran to Sniper's nest at top speed. The deafening crunch of metal against metal as the sedan caved the fans back in. The impact was strong enough to push both vehicles into the well of the tree line, knocking down some of the smaller ones as the mass of man-made materials became one very impromptu battering ram, bulldozing its way through the local flora. Shiny forced himself to his feet, ignoring his shock. He could already hear the whine of another sirens in the distance, but he ignored those for the moment. Rushing to where Sandalwood had crashed their cruiser, his mind raced. It was bad enough he had lost 2 friends here, but if Sandalwood was one of the fallen, he didn't know how Keynes would react. The two were tight, and would ugly wreck her if the boisterous brunette joined the Angels. Sandy! He shouted as he reached the ruined cruiser, fearing the worst. Instead, he found a collapsed airbag and Sandalwood bleeding from multiple cuts, so thankfully none of them was severe. Great. Took a car crash to get you to pay attention, she said in a woozy voice. Fuck my life. Hey, you okay? He asked, a concerned look over his face. No, think my leg's broken, she grunted, a stab of pain raining through her eyes. Look, I'm not going anywhere, but you better check stupid and see if I come. You stay here, okay? Help's on the way. She laughed barely. That was supposed to be my line. He gave her a friendly smile as he patted her comfortably on the shoulder. Then he moved towards where the wreckage of the fan had been. The first thing he saw was the ruined, bent remains of a nasty-looking military-issue sniper rifle. That did not make him easy about the situation. The second thing he found was, pinned under some bent metal, and clearly with the leg sheared off, was the sniper. Despite the fact that he was bleeding out, he was trying to move himself free of the wreckage, in the hopes he could somehow get out of his predicament. While the suspect was dressed in an ECSD uniform, the look of him made it clearly obvious he wasn't a sheriff's deputy in any way, shape, or form. Don't move, Shiny ordered the man. Let me get you some assistance. Is there any sort... Before Shiny could finish the sentence, the man reached for a pistol holster in his chest, and one easy move pulled the gun free, intent to kill Shiny. However, Shiny's instincts took over, and as the man began to aim, Shiny pulled his trigger twice. The bullets hit true. The man managed to get out of a shot that came nowhere near him as he gave a death rattle. But it didn't end. As soon as the ringing echo of the shots went away, he could hear something at the distance. Repeated popping. He didn't need to see the evidence to know what it was. Freeze! SPD! A voice shouted behind him. Oh good, it's Jack. Maybe he could help us out. And there's the other Decker Ranger joke. FBI, Sonny said, putting his hands briefly. Given the situation here, he fully expected to be frisked, and after the SPD's officer did so, he backed off, giving a Shiny a nod of all clear. Thanks, Shiny replied, taking his mind off the man he just killed in the line of duty. You got here just in time. Not soon enough, the officer replied. I take it two down over there are ours? Yeah, Shiny answered, biting off his anger. Well, the SPD officer had been neutral about it. The fact was, he couldn't have known those were friends of Shining's. or that Shiny himself still felt guilt over Hardline's death. Furthermore, Shunningtown's police tended to see a lot more accident than other agencies in Carolot metro area, so growing hard-hearted was probably all too easy. Agent Hardline and Officer Metallic Jasmine, they were friends of mine. The SPD officer put his hands up.
Hey, relax, pal. I didn't mean anything by it.
He offered his hand.
Gumshoe.
He replied, Shining armor, Shiny said, shaking Gumshoe's hand. Shiny heard another voice called out, Yo! Anyone in there? CPD, coming in! He looked over to see Takedown, one of the CPD officers who would be back up. He would run to Takedown a few times, but Shiny knew the man would be up and up. Hey, Armor, sorry to hear about Jasmine. I've got Chaser with me, and she's getting out some blankets to put over Jasmine and the FBI woman. Shiny nodded curtly. Alright, do you need first aid?
Yeah, she's set for a pre-string.
Gumshoe replied. Okay, got an injured ECSD deputy in her car. You and Chaser make sure that we get extra backup here. Maybe SWAT or something. Takedown, you're with me. Get to your cruiser and get your rifle. Look, Armor, I don't... The sound of gunfire in distance caught the attention of all three men.
Is that automatic fire?
Gumshoe asked. Right. Go get the shotgun, Takedown said. What about you? Shiny looked around the destroyed innards of the fake fan. It clearly had been designed to deliver troops and material, and the gun racks around shattered bulkheads, not police standard, were mostly empty. Mostly, save for a single machine gun, which Shiny grabbed. He'd seen it before. A Bulgarian-made machine gun that he happened to see at the Northern California Gun Show a couple years back. It seemed like something of a military fancy. He never had a chance to touch it, much less use it. That was about to change. Checking the ammo and condition of the weapon, he looked down at Takedown and said, I think I'll manage. Why am I hearing Terminator music? Blastar spat out a gob of blood. So far, things had not gone by the way he intended. Sir, the cunted siren had some skills. He'd been a fool not to admit that. But he had very tactical advantage and was moving in on them with no chance of them knowing about it at all. Things were going to be perfect. He was going to put these sluts down like they were supposed to go down, much to the delight of many of his men. He was sure. And then he was going to go collect his girlfriend, kill that goddamn traitor Loam, and then sip a Mai Tai on the beaches of Belize. Okay, who's looking forward to his death? Vroom! Wow, that's everybody in the studio. But so far, things weren't working out that way. Despite the fact that he had every advantage, some of the best fighters around, the little bitches were still giving him issues. Many of his men, good operators, guys who knew their shit out, were cut down by the little fuckholes. Sir, his men were giving them as good as they got. He personally enjoyed putting a few extra holes in some of them that clearly needed them. But the body count was going to be horrible. As it was, he already had to pull above his reserves and leave checkpoints manned only by single guards, instead of the triple setup he had originally. But his hands were tied. He was losing men, and had several of these fucking cunts to kill. You know, guys, I'm smiling because I'm thinking that this is what happens to people like Garble and other idiots who demean women and put down women just because they're girls and just because they like pretty things. And it's giving me such a buzz to see him get his. Damn. He wasn't going to have much time to relax back at their new digs before he went out hiring. Fortunately, there were always SOS going off the leash. He heard some rumors of military downtowns in China, and the PLA always produced hardcore results. Right, he pulled the knife out of his shoulder, glad it hadn't hit any vinyls when it went in. Fortunately, he couldn't say anything about the one stuck on the girl on the ground next to him. As he got up, the one he fought directly against, Violent Elegy, the leader of the base, looked down weakly and burbled through bloody lips, Go to hell, fucker.
But you don't want to say that,
he said, looking at the knife buried right into her heart. If it was removed, she died instantly. While left there, it would eventually bleed out.
Says I'm a nice guy,
he said, gesturing to himself as he got back to his feet.
Right now, my guys are rolling over yours, and well, getting a few dates.
Getting their dicks cut off more likely, Elsie managed to, before his hands coughing up more blood.
Yeah, but I look at you, girlie, and well, I don't like it. I'm a family man, you know.
got this cute girlfriend here. Nice body, all the curves. How many times you raped her before she fell unconscious? Blackthorn spat another wad, this time in her face. Hey, my girl's a nice lady, so you don't get to say shit like that. She knows how to make me feel right, and that's all that matters, got that? But anyway, not my point. He reached behind him and pulled out a pistol, tossing it to the ground next to her. Only one round, tits. You could either shoot me and I'll just limp away, but I'll get away. Or you can end it all and go out quickly because... He pointed to the knife in her chest. That's gotta hurt. You won't live tomorrow, bastard, Elsie spat. I swear if there's any justice in the world, you won't live to see midnight. Maybe, he said as he walked away, but I'll guarantee I'll live longer than you. Ignoring her, he walked away, moving through the passageways and away from her. He didn't take more than a few steps before he heard a single, teeny-meaning pin ring out. He grinned. Mission accomplished. The other sounds of gunfire still resounding around him as his men fought and died to kill bitches that didn't deserve to live. But with Blackthorn, it was a musical symphony, a grand theater of percussive sound that informed him his mission was a success. Police was not too far off. Oh, I can't wait to get between your thighs and wrap my fingers around that pastel hair, he thought with Elise's leer. Then I'm gonna put down that fucking dog you call boyfriend. Then, sweet cheeks, you're all mine. Meanwhile, Celera was rarely one for Indian foods, he had to admit. Her husband preferred it far more than her, and her daughter had inherited his love of spicy foods. So coming to the tasty treat was, truthfully, a complete surprise. The owner, Coriander Cumin, had studied at Sabron briefly before his return to India and eventual move to the U.S., settling down in a suburb north of Seattle. He learned to fuse the local foods with his native Indian flair, and by the end of the meal, Celera found that she was genuinely surprised that the place had not earned more accolades. She knew someone on the Michelin board would have to recommend this restaurant soonest. She looked over the diamond-shaped slice of kaiju kati that placed in front of her by the waitress. She stole a quick look at Simmer and Coco, who were eating at another table, looking intently at their phones. Celera sighed. She hated to tell them that this was business, but in a sense it was, and in any case, she didn't want them knowing what this could be, unless it was absolutely necessary. And meanwhile, these two were just business associates, and that's the way it remained. At the moment, she looked at Asa Masala, sitting there sipping from a pot of chai. She went into the back and brewed herself. Siv's nanas, she said, looking very much like a young school teacher, as opposed to a DSS agent. But it was the man with the blonde hair and a mullet, 5 o'clock shell, and lazy purple eyes, a rubble cyan shirt, and jeans who was slugging back multiple beers that her concerned. He been quiet and somewhat like a daisiel during the whole time they had been there, and if it was an act, it was a good one. Pardon me, she began. I know Agent Masala here, but I don't know you, mister. He gave her the kind of grin he already knew something about her. She hated that. Your next husband? This is not the time for that, she told him. Fine, fine, he said. Though if you're still available, I do have a thing for older women. Cephia! Masala's mind. You know, Seth, you're cute when you get angry. But I digress. He pulled out Bass. Cephia breathes, DSS. He took another swig of his beer and added, Et une personne écrasante sexy, pensant que assez évident. Your French is impeccable, sir. Celera replied. I try, but, it's been years since I practiced the language, and I'm far more efficient in Japanese. Thank you. My mother was from Calais, so she taught me everything. Dad, however, was from Atlanta, so I grew up there. I spent summers with the grandparents back in France. Then went double when the parents divorced. When I was old enough, I joined the army. Saw the world. Got a girl back in France pregnant. Married her. Then had a kid. So I'm still grown much myself. Got out of the army. Joined the DSS and got stayed in the Pacific office down in La La Land. When I'm not on the clock, I spend most of my time surfing, playing video games, and trying to be a somewhat decent parent. My wife hasn't killed me yet, so I assume that's a plus. Out of the corner of her eye, Celera could see Agent Masala roll her eyes in response, before she took control of the conversation. In any case, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to see us, Your Highness. I realize this is a personal time, but I'm afraid when we're done, you may want to reconsider said personal time. I decline protection from the SPFP, and I know they have agents in the San Francisco consulate. We understand the French government has declined to do so based on your wishes, Masala explained. However, the DSS has different requirements. We'll be shadowing you. There won't be any direct contact unless you request it. I take it you read the document I gave you earlier? Solar shook her head. Breeze took another drink of his beer. And here I thought we had a smart one. Fine. Truth is, we have a report forwarded to us by both the CIA and our French allies. Masala looked straight at her. The French government has believed that someone is hunting both the French royal and imperial families. The accident with your brother, Batil, and his wife, Corneille, they found an embedded round in their car wreck. Your brother was assassinated. Solar then gasped. They bit it off as soon as he could, so her sister wouldn't hear it. Your sister, a toy? She prefers Star. Solar said with a worried look. She's a bit of an Anglophile. Is she okay? There was an incident in Oslo. She's fine, but she's been hospitalized. Your brother, Nobilis, is on the way to see her, as PHP has been assigned guards to him. That's not all, Bree said, pulling out his phone and turning it on. Clearly, he was reading something from the screen. Members of the family attacked at several locations. Yesterday, Prince Yatua was killed during a vacation in Germany. They arrested suspects, but DCRI believes they have been paid to take the fall. Additionally, Australian authorities have found a body that was identified as Prince Divine Right, floating in Sydney Bay. Claire turned away from that. She hated her cousin, but never wanted anything to happen to him. Masala reached over to touch Solare's hand. I know this isn't easy for you, Your Highness, and I sympathize. I worry about my family every time I'm out in the field, and I don't doubt Sophia here is the same way. She gave him a look out the corner of her eye that said she didn't want an argument from him, then continued. When you return to Canterlot, for however long you'll be in the U.S., we'll be present. I don't like this. Well, that makes two of us, Sophia said. I planned to take the family on vacation to France last month, but then I got this call, so I'm stuck, which means so are you. You don't have to like it, Princess, but you do have to put up with it. But hey, look on the bright side. At least you'll be able to keep your daughter in complete ignorance, right? Masala face palmed. Stay classy, Seth. Okay, we're ready to do this? Adagio asked her sisters. At the moment, she had her bag packed and looked out the window at the early evening. Yeah, I told her we were checking out tomorrow. They'll discharge the card, Arya informed her sisters. In the meanwhile, I rented a car on the second card and got us a new hotel room just north of town. There, it should be straight up set off the freeway to Carolot once the rainstorm dies down. We'll have to make it with little problem. Looking out the window one last time, Sanaa said, I haven't seen Artia at all. I don't like that. Yeah, I don't think she gave up either, which is why we need to move fast, Dazio answered. The sooner we get out of here, the sooner we can lose her. Both sisters nodded. With that, they picked up their bags ready to depart. Oida had the door kicked in the face. Santina immediately moved fast, firing 4 rounds of double tap, hitting both Arya and Sanaa in the chest, with no doubt they were fatal blows. She then shot the window out, ready to make her escape. As Adagio shrugged out the blow, she immediately felt Sanaa's gun right in her face. Too bad you guys went rogue, she said with a smirk. Actually, no. Good for me, because I wanted to kill your sister for the longest time. Her words were cut off when suddenly she found a few throwing stars buried in the arm. New shopping and stopping at the dollar import store would be a boon, Sanaa said as he got off the ground. Her shirt had a hole in it, revealing the body armor she wore underneath. Holding her hand up like she was playing poker hand, she produced 4 more black 24-point throwing stars. Wait, are those illegal here? Arya, also having worn protective gear, said, throwing the spot where the round had sunk into the armor, but not gone past. Sanaa smirked. Rainbow has some, well, she told me it's, quote, jaywalking illegal, not napalm illegal, whatever that means. Plus, these came on a chain, so technically they're decorative necklaces that look kind of like throwing stars. She went back to Santina, gave her a dark look and added, but I admit they still hurt, don't they, crush? By the way, technically you can make throwing implements in shuriken out of anything. I'll kill you! The would-be screeched, turning away from the dazed Adagio and towards her hated nemesis. There was one person in the room that deserved to die more than anyone else. It was Zatanna Dusk, and Satina Crest was going to put her down. Despite the wounds in her arm, she threw the knife at Sanada, while bringing up another to bury him between the eyes. So it was a shock to her that, with an easy motion, Zatanna caught the projectile in midair, then moved forward and slugged her in the right solar plexus. Satina's air expelled, she buckled but recovered quickly. Still, the brief stall was more than enough for Zatanna to move forward, slashing her pointing across the face with one shuriken, following up with taking Satina's own throwing knife and stabbing her in the eye. Satina screeched, and instinctively stabbed once more with the knife still in her hand. Sanada, with the practiced ease of a martial artist, grabbed the arm and pulled forward, reached over and grabbed Satina's hair. As she moved, she snarled, "You'll never hurt my sisters again, you bitch!" With minimal effort, she threw Satina across out the window. The screaming could be heard until it was abruptly silenced by the sound of crushing metal. Sanada didn't need to look out the window to know that Satina had crashed atop a car, and the process set off its siren. Arya helped Adagio stay herself. "Come on, sis. We gotta get out of here." "Well, she knows how to hit," Adagio said, closing her eyes briefly. "She can't do anything anymore," Sanada said with a final tone. "Now come on. The nose is gonna draw attention. Arya, you know where you parked the car. Lead the way." The mill sister nodded, and the three grabbed their bags before jumping out the window and sliding down the drain pipes. As soon as they hit the ground, they disappeared in the shadows, leaving the mess and one would-be killer behind. Meanwhile, back with the asshole. "The bastard. Ugh. Piece of slag."
Chris, this is a fucking mess.
Blackthorn leaned his carbine over his good shoulder, looking at the burning ground behind him. For some reason, the place was rigged to blow in the event of a successful incursion. One of his men had tripped the alarm, and in the process had been killed shortly thereafter. In the process of him escaping, he had put 2 more holes in 2 of the bitches. Mercy killed one of his own men. Same. Gunsmithing was one of the better SOS that he had, but work was work, and now this was finally over. "What boss?" One of the new guys, a former Australian SAS guy by the name of Thunder Bay, had something over his shoulder. From the looks of it, she was out cold and nearly completely undressed. She also looked like she was 14.
Fuck. How young were they trained, these little tramps?
But she clearly had the musculature of someone who was used to pushing it hard.
"Caught me more present." "Yeah, I can tell."
"Already tested the merchandise?" Thunder nodded.
"Yeah. Oh, she's gonna be a fun sheeter, I can tell you that. I say give her a couple of years, and I'll have her so broken in, she'll be like one of those sitcom mums, baking biscuits and all."
Blackthorn nodded his approval.
"Alright, you know the drill. Get to the vent and wait for the rest. You don't hear from anyone else in 30 minutes, soon the worst and get going. We'll make it out okay. Roll out."
With that, Thunder whistled a happy tune as he watched it to the racing distance. Blackthorn was glad he did. There was something about that guy that gave him the creeps. "Oh, I don't know. Could it be him? Oh, I don't know. Raping a 14-year-old girl!"
We'll have to look at him cutting loose as soon as I can. Though, if he's wrong about that siren cut he's got, she does my dirty job for me. Maybe I could pay her to off him and join us. Might not be a bad idea. Especially if she's gonna be without a job real soon."
He cut his radio.
"Oh, this is Argo 6. Sit rep, over."
Silence came from the radio.
"All units, this is Argo 6. Report."
Nothing.
"All units, this is Argo 6. Mission complete. We're pulling back and heading back to the barn. Anyone on the radio, proceed to the Vulture. We bounce at the preset time. Argo 6, out."
He threw the radio on the ground, then aimed quickly with his carbine and shot it. Anyone who heard that had their orders, and anyone who didn't, well, they're likely going to hear anything ever again. Saltdoran's glow started to grow brighter in the distance as the siren backup facility started to catch fire from the explosives within. Most sounds of the charges going off as the facility self-destructed. It was sure there was valuable intel there it could have sold to Changeling and those Kaneki and the assholes he worked for, but he had to negotiate that. Besides, he assured his contacts at the company already knew about what was going down, and tomorrow the place would be swimming with people who worked for alphabet agencies. If not, He'd make a discreet call. As if or not, he was still a patriotic American after all. His job done, he started walking through the ranks and where he parked the van. This part of the job was over. Now the fun would begin. He would kill that cowardly shitbag Sable Loam with every bit of pleasure he could wring out of it. He'd have a new girlfriend. Maybe even celebrate with little Miss Titty right there in her bedroom before he went off on a permanent vacation. Loam's dying vision would be his girl training up for a better class of man. And the better leg certainly had appeal to it. He could practically taste her thighs now. Freeze! FBI! He turned to see a pair of boys standing there. Definitely not men. Not with their clean-shaven faces and all too long hair. The front guy, his FBI badge glistening, and his 2 long shades of blue hair looking like a moat sock to it. He seemed like he barely knew how to hold a gun, much less the gear. Is that a Shipka he was holding? Behind him, carrying your standard, barely could hit anything police shotgun, was a kid even more wet behind the ears than a G-man. Between the two of them, Blackthorn was surprised either had hit puberty.
Heh, you kids is funny, you know that? Well, Halloween in another couple months. So why don't you go scurry on home and wait till you learn how to tie your shoes, okay?
Blackthorn said to the FBI agent. Drop the weapon, the agent told him, bringing the Shipka up to a decent firing position. By the book, just your typical cop bullshit. Blackthorn rolled his eyes. At least the Phoebe was ready for this. The kid behind him looked like he was about to wet his pants. Maybe in a few more years, the FBI kid would be something of value, but Blackthorn wasn't going to let him long enough to do so.
Kid, both of you have a chance to walk away before I kill you both,
Blackthorn said, not moving from his position.
You don't have the stones to take me down, and I've killed better men than you'll ever be. And since the best part of you both are still in the condoms your daddy's flushed down the toilet, I'm gonna be nice and let you walk away. So that's the deal. Walk or die.
I said, drop the weapon, the FBI agent told him. This is your last chance to comply.
Kid, you're wasting my time. I got a traitor to kill and a woman to fuck until she begs me to make her my love toy. So get out of there, or you get a bullet between your eyes. Both of you.
The only response was for the kid behind the FBI agent to suddenly look like he grew his spine, started to step forward. That was more than enough of an answer for Blackthorn. Instinct took over, and he brought his gun to bear, pulling the trigger. The gun responded, its barrel spinning out like a flame, and a staccato brrrrap noise as it did what it was designed to do, being an instrument of death. Time seemed to move at half speed for Shining. He saw the movement of the suspect's barrel and knew that he'd be in the line of fire, with no way of making it out there. Instinct seemed to kick in, and Shining felt himself moving to the side, jumping to the right as he pulled the trigger on his gun twice, feeling the kick of the rounds lead the carbine and head forward. He heard, practically felt the rounds from the attacker's gun burning the space where he was just a second before. Unfortunately, this wasn't one of the anime he was fond of watching. Instead, coming to a persistent stop, he felt his foot slip as he tried to regain his balance, sending him towards the ground, only able to watch as his enemy staggered back from the shot. Despite the fact that it was clear the assailant had been wearing body armor, dark blossoms appeared on his shirt as the man fell to the ground like a sundered Jenga tower. Wait, did we just kill Blackthorn? Oh my god, he's dead! Celebrate good times, kettle! As time finally moved into normal position, Shining felt the firearm bounce out of his hands upon him to the ground, scaring away and sliding out of reach. Instinctively, he got up, reaching for his pistol's takedown covered him. He felt adrenaline kicked in as he was now in a firefight, but it was not necessary. His rounds had struck true. Well, armor-piercing rounds, Takedown said as he offered Shining a hand up. Shouldn't you be covering me and giving me a hand up? Shining said, practically saying the issue. Nah, you got your ass down, but good, Takedown said with a shrug. What the fuck's going on? I don't know, but I want answers, Shining said, munching over to his would-be assailant. He found the man, gurgling in a desperate attempt to breathe, glaring at Shining with eyes of hate. You fucking little kid! He spat. Fucking lucky shot! Talk, Shining ordered. What the fuck is going on here? The man ignored him. Fucking lucky shot. Managed to get through all the
bitches in all the world shooting at my ass and I get cut down by. Under a desperate gasp of breath, some sheriff wouldn't want to be.
Call an ambulance, Shiny told Takedown, but he knew it was too late. This was the only chance he had was to get the perp to spill any information. Now talk! Blackthorn, however, didn't seem to hear him.
I was gonna fuck her until she sang like a canary, he murmured. Oh, I was gonna fuck her good. Call her my lusty. I can tell she works out. Probably best fuck we can ever get.
Losing him, Takedown said. Talk! Shiny roared, as a loud explosion erupted several hundred feet to his right. Both he and Takedown looked at the fireball in complete shot. The blast was thankfully muted by the tree line. Shiny immediately turned back to their land. What the fuck's going on here? But Blackthorn was far too gone by that point.
Gonna dick her till she marries me.
He slurred to no one, everyone.
They're gonna get married, have kids. Oh, my heart. Just me and my best so sweet. I'll hold it.
Here, your Academy Award.
Thank you, Trix!
His words cut off to a death growl. Then all Blackthorn did was stare into eternity. Shiny screamed in anger, frustration, and futility, walking away, back towards where he left the others.
What do we do now?
Takedown asked. But Shiny just ignored him and continued walking, a scowl on his face. Well, we could always use it for target practice. He would also make a good toilet. He would also make a good... 2 hours to the west, a small campground overlooked Horseshoe Bay. The campground was currently off limits due to the presence of Hurricane Everblue. But neither the park rangers nor anyone else in authority had bothered to check if anyone was there. Much less the green Jeep Liberty that was parked under the corpse of trees just off the road. Sitting in the driver's seat, Lavender Lace took a drag from a joint and blew out.
Fuck this shit! Parents don't give a fuck about me. I think I deserve to be grounded for picking a fight. Yeah, right, stupid bitch. She just suffer silly for that shit. But my old man be fucking pissed. Don't matter. Not like she's my real mom anyway.
She took another toke.
But I guess that's what Dad gets for fucking a secretary. Might have had a body, but she's got no brains.
She Blood took the joint and smoked it.
You know, at least your dad cares about you. I had to live with my grandparents because Mom died in a car accident. Dad out himself. Yeah, but at least your grandparents trust you. My old man would have kept me at home if I didn't tell him I was staying out of town for a friend's house to avoid a storm. She sighed. Fuck, like you give a shit if I died. Probably just put a bun in my stepmom's oven and call it that. She pushed her strands of her blonde hair out of her eyes and said, yeah, at least he took me in. Mom moved to Florida and hasn't given a fuck all about me since. She tapped the seat back lever in her driver's seat and stared at the ceiling of the car. Neither of my parents give a fuck about me. Ain't that a joke? Fuso set the joint down in the ashtray and looked at her girlfriend. Hey, I give a fuck about you. She leaned over and kissed Lavender, and magenta of her bangs seemed to intertwine with her girlfriend's blonde locks. And I'm always gonna be here. You know, your grandparents are gonna shit bricks if they find out you're a lesbo. Yeah, but they'll deal. If your parents ever kick you out, I'm sure they'll let you move in. Really? Yeah, really. Fuso took another drag and leaned over to kiss Lavender again, while he still smoke into her mouth.
Ew! Ugh. Hate smoking.
Come on. I got it. It needs to be scratched. Oh. Fuso pulled off her t-shirt and started unbuttoning Lavender's own. Yeah, and I brought the toys too. We're still here for a few more days until they reopen the park. So until then, this is our little world lab. Just you and me, paradise.
Lavender needed no prodding, leaning forward, kissing her girlfriend on the neck. Her hands moving and probing his passage took them both, never knowing that 3 unnatural pairs watched, looking for the perfect moment to strike.
Girls, you know, technically they've
Already had sex, so they're technically not virgins, so... Divine shook his head correctly. It was time. Getting from his deck, he took a final quaff from his wine goblet, and with a simple incantation,
teleported away with a flash of purple magic. A second later, he topped the summit of Mount Shasta. Even in summer weather, it was high enough to be cold, so he cast an additional warmth spell to summon a decent windbreaker to add to his warmth. He was sure there were going to be others at the top of the summit, ready to take a picture of the historic hurricane ever blew, the first Category 5 that managed to make it this far inland without breaking apart. He couldn't allow them to see what happened next. Snapping his fingers, he summoned his grimoire, looking over the spells in the moonlight for the perfect one. A second later, he banished it, and a second after that, snapped his fingers, releasing a spell. 500 yards away, an award-winning photojournalist in perfect health suddenly had an epiphany about his career. He left the mountain and decided he wanted to chase his dreams about being a professional skydiver. 300 yards in the opposite direction, a CNN reporter and a cameraman finally admitted how they felt about each other, and with a passionate kiss departed the mountain. They had found 3 days later at Reno in a quick wedding chapel. Aww! Flying above in a rented prop airplane, its pilot, a man who reported for the New York Times, suddenly had engine trouble. Angry and he could potentially lose control as he got closer to the storm, he winged his way back to Oregon, pissed to have missed out on a story of a lifetime. To find Eustace Matson to feel out and make sure there were none that he missed. Killing aids that would have been child's play, but probably brought too many questions at such a critical juncture. Fortunately, a prince knew the softer arts just as well as the harder. When violence couldn't solve things, subterfuge did. And all he did was reach into the minds of those in the area and give them what they wanted most. In the case of the pilot, what he feared most. When he was certain there was no other potential problems of snoopers around, he summoned a bell, throwing it into the air where it floated a mile above the mountain. With that done, he called to the hurricane, beckoning it to come. The storm answered his call, moving forward at frigate speed across the trees of the mountainside, like a lover crawling across silken seats and pillows, hungry and insatiable. With a motion that could only be called unnatural, the hurricane enveloped Mount Shasta, becoming a wall of rain and wind, howling and screeching its defiance stood in the center of it, directing its energy skywards towards the bell. Finally, the hurricane exploded, sending torrents of water in every direction. As a gas of blood-red energy soared to the sky, hitting the bell. The bell soared to force, turning bright red, then burning white, almost as if intent to replace the moon, sun itself with intensity. Then the bell rang out, pealing with its unnatural tone, sounding strong enough that the whole world could hear it. They knew what to listen for. Fine laughed. Soon the world would be his. After all, Fine right. Elsewhere, a giant gong rang in Sunset's ears, making her stand up. The first thing she could feel was intense ringing, as if ripped through her. The second thing she could feel was dark energy burning in the air. What the hell? She thought. Immediately got up, planning to investigate, but then, Sonny? Twilight stirred next to her, sat up. You okay? Yeah. Didn't you hear that? Hear what? The blonde-haired scholar asked. Sunset realized whatever it was she heard was clearly magic-based, but only she could hear it. Her friends also did, but now was not the time to ask. Now was the time to comfort her sister. I was clearly worried about her in a situation that was already now. I guess my ears are ringing. Let me get some Advil and water. I'll be fine. I promise. No, let me take care of that, sis. Twilight insisted, walking over to Sunset's desk, where the balls and the needed stuff had already been placed. Sunset would have to sit this one out for a moment, but as soon as he had the chance to investigate, with that mark's dark power, there was no way she could ignore that. But for now, as much as she wasn't uncomfortable, there was sleep to be had, right next to her sister. That, at least, she could deal with. Sunset thought to herself as she accepted the medicine and water from Twilight. Elsewhere, in her destroyed bedroom, a raven-haired girl removed her hands from her pants. They were stinking and wet, and she loved every moment of it. She felt the raising power in the air, the dark majesty, and it turned her on. If she could somehow harness that power, she could break and bend everyone in this house and in the world beyond. That thought made her feel creamy side, so she dealt with her need. Now she stood, feeling sated for the moment. Wishing she had a little plum-haired playmate to make things perfect. Fortunately, she was in the bedroom 2 doors down with the bacon-haired cunt. The frizzy business sleeping outside her door at the moment weren't going to let her have fun. Still only a matter of time, Melody thought. Now she could only get the bit screaming within her mind to stop. To kill Octavia once and for all. Then she could have all the fun and more.